With the news that Max will now be renaming itself again to HBO Max, I thought it would be fitting to take a look at one of the recent Warner Brothers releases that actually slapped, that is definitely worth your time. Not everything is in disarray over there, or at least not yet. The Looney Tunes returned to the big screen for The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. It seems like this movie may have flown under the radar for some, like a stealthy UFO. So I'm going to take some time to highlight it here. Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Sean Morgan, and I love movies. I love all movies, especially creative and bold animated pieces. That is precisely what we have here today in The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. This is one of the biggest and most pleasant surprises of the year by far, in my opinion. In Looney Tunes, The Day the Earth Blew Up, director Pete Braungart delivers a high octane blast of classic cartoon energy with a modern enough offbeat twist. The film marks the first fully animated theatrical Looney Tunes feature, not counting, those mixed media projects like Space Jam or Looney Tunes Back in Action. This film stars Eric Bauza in the iconic roles of Porky Pig and Daffy Duck. The film is an unrelenting celebration of like old school slapstick. It's got some eye popping 2D animation, and it's got this, kind of crazy humor. It's got a healthy dose of self awareness and absurdity thrown in for good measure. It's basically everything you'd want modern Looney Tunes to be. The plot is bonkers. The plot, it doesn't necessarily, it's kind of just a convenient base for a lot of gags, but there is a plot. After stumbling into an alien invasion kind of scheme that's going on, Porky and Daffy have to team up to save Earth from destruction. It's kind of like an invasion of the body snatchers type thing meets Looney Tunes. So the world may be ending, but there's always time for a montage of Porky and Daffy being horrible at job hunting or finding joy in the monotonous work of pulling levers at a bubblegum factory. The narrative, like I said, it's a loose clothesline for wild gags. It's got some surreal detours, fourth wall breaking jokes, all delivered with the kind of irreverence that defines Looney Tunes in my opinion, at its best. And for all of its chaos, though, the Day the Earth Blew Up does feel focused, like the work of artists who know exactly what kind of cartoon they're making from the jump. There's a refreshing clarity to the madness here, a confident hand behind the wheel of this unhinged spaceship. Um, what immediately sets this film apart in the contemporary animation landscape is its dedication to the 2D animation aesthetic. At a time when the theatrical animated space is almost entirely dominated by slick, hyper rendered 3D films from like Pixar, DreamWorks, Illumination, etc., which aren't necessarily bad, mind you, but those are the dominant animated force at the box office. The Day the Earth Blew Up, though, is a full throated throwback to traditional hand drawn aesthetic, and not just in look, but in spirit, too. This isn't really just a nostalgia gimmick, it's not. Hey, remember the Looney Tunes? So, you'll come watch this if you're above a certain age. No, it's not merely that. It's an artistic, excuse me, kind of mission statement. The film revels in the kind of like stretchy, squashy animation that 2D can offer. It's got, wild visual gags that couldn't possibly exist in live action, not even if you tried. There's something invigorating about seeing a full length feature so unapologetically devoted to just cartoon BS logic. The characters here don't just cry, they explode into fountains of tears. They don't just get startled, right? They do the classic cartoon thing of, they leave behind smoke puffs in the shape of their own bodies. It's joyful, it's ridiculous, it's very much in line with this franchise. And much like the best Looney Tunes shorts of the golden age, The Day the Earth Blew Up, it leans heavily into some meta humor. Characters routinely break the fourth wall, comment on the plot's absurdity, and acknowledge their roles as cartoon characters and protagonists inside of a movie. But where this could easily kind of veer into tired or self-congratulatory territory, I'm thinking, some people have an issue with the likes of Deadpool, for example, for doing that a little too much. Um, Here, however, the film manages to keep its metatextual gags sharp and inventive, and they don't overdo it. I love, for example, later on in the film, Daffy pulls out an actual script for the movie that we're watching and hands it to another character to have them catch up on what they missed while they were body snatched, while they were unconscious or incapacitated. It's a funny bit. It made me laugh. Um, Eric Bauza deserves special mention for his voice work. I mean, his Daffy is this perfect mix of egomaniacal bluster and exasperated muttering, and Porky brings a grounded, kind of sweetly neurotic foil to the chaos. It's amazing that one man is doing both of those voices. Their odd couple dynamic, these characters, it anchors the film, provides a surprising emotional through line, yes, even amidst scenes involving alien bubblegum and intergalactic slapstick. So that is a real pleasant surprise as well. And the film also commits to a kind of surreal, almost psychedelic weirdness that sometimes family films shy away from. There are a few like Lovecraftian creature designs and a few like really inventive, brain melting, kind of trippy color patterns, color palettes, I should say. The visual style is bold, it's weird, it's maximalist. It doesn't really try to sand down the edges of the Looney Tunes for broad family appeal. It leans into this kind of jagged, abrasive core that I think people really connect with when it comes to these characters. Now, there are a few modern gags that maybe I didn't care for so much. Like there is a weird like TikTok dance that Daffy does. He like twerks at the camera at one point. It's a very brief moment, but like there are only a few, less than I can count them on one hand, a few gags, and there are tons of gags. So there are only a few I can count them on one hand that like I was really like, maybe we don't need that. We don't need to have Daffy twerk on like a TikTok adjacent app in the movie. But the jokes are flying at you a mile a minute, so they can't all be winners, in my opinion. And it's unfortunate that this victory lap for the Looney Tunes crew comes at a time when Warner Brothers seems kind of unsure of what to do with them as a property, despite this movie's critical acclaim and the built in affection that audiences have for the brand. The Day the Earth Blew Up was at one point in limbo. It was completed, but planned to be written off for tax reasons until Catch Up Entertainment bought the distribution rights from Warner Brothers. The studio's recent behavior towards its animation division and legacy properties on the whole has sparked widespread backlash, widespread confusion, I think understandably so. In the past few years, Warner Brothers Discovery has made headlines for axing completed projects, removing titles from streaming services for tax write-offs, and drastically reducing support for legacy properties that I don't know what the issue is. I suppose that they've deemed that these legacy properties don't fit their profitability model or these new projects. Okay, among the casualties were high profile projects that many of you have probably heard of. Batgirl, for example, Scoob Holiday Haunt, which was a sequel to the Scoob movie. And it's like this chilling message to creators that even if you work on this tirelessly, no matter how beloved the property is, no matter how complete the finished project is, it's not safe. They can just decide to write it off or can it at any juncture. I'm actually quite a big fan of the Batgirl directors. I've liked a lot of the action films that they've done. I have a really hard time believing that their Batgirl, whatever it ended up being, was really so bad as to not be able to be released. I just really firmly don't believe that that was the case. That seems like some corporate BS. I digress. The fact that The Day the Earth Blew Up survived this kind of purge and made it to theatrical release feels miraculous, and frankly, it should not have taken a miracle for this film to have gotten a theatrical release. The film was made by a team of seasoned animators with a proven track record. It's got built-in brand recognition, right? So the fact that its release was ever in question is emblematic of a studio, in my opinion, that does not seem to understand or respect the very IP that it owns. Um, I very briefly worked on some television shows that were affiliated with Max, or HBO Max, or whatever you want to call it. And even just working on those programs, which I won't name, I got the sense that people there were kind of flying by the seat of their pants and that they really did not have a clear focused direction. And one of the shows that I did work on, in fact, was pulled from the streaming service. So, I am biased. I don't really like how David Zaslav runs that company. The disconnect there, it just makes this film's existence, The Day the Earth Blew Up, and films like it makes when they do break through, when they do actually get to exist, it makes that a powerful statement, right? It's not just the fact that we have a good Looney Tunes movie in the year 2025, excuse me. Um, it the fact that it's out and doing well, at least critically, everyone who's seen it has really liked it. It's like a protest against this indifference from the Warner Brothers corporate offices. It's proof that audiences do want, or at least respond to, hand drawn animation when they do get to see it. It's proof that audiences do want this kind of absurd humor. They do want something that kind of attempts to break the mold a little bit, and more importantly, it proves that artists will keep making these things and can keep making these things even today, even if the studio decides that it wants to drag its feet and and they don't realize the value of what they have. They don't realize the value of the IP. They don't realize the value of the creative force that is in bed with them. So this film did not blow up the box office, pun intended, but everyone I know who saw it, like I said, had nothing but glowing things to say, and I highly recommend that you check it out if you are an animation fan. Looney Tunes: The Day the Earth Blew Up. It's more than a funny cartoon. It's a love letter to animation. It's a love letter to chaos and to these characters who have been making audiences laugh for nearly a century. And like I said, I consider it a rallying cry for traditional animation in a marketplace that too often favors safe, shiny CGI sameness. The film doesn't just keep the Looney Tunes spirit alive, it kind of weaponizes it. It fires it across the screen in a barrage of jokes, pratfalls, explosions. It justifies the continuance of this brand of cartoon adventure after decades and decades and decades of these characters, being in people's lives. It's rare to see that a film feel this alive. Every frame pulses, it oozes with personality. Almost every gag lands its punchline, and it makes, these older than sin characters still feel relatively relevant, relatively fresh. On my bespoke rating system of A list, amazing, average, abysmal, and needs to be abolished, The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, gets an amazing rating. It's a 4-star movie, just rocks the socks off of any animation fans or comedy fans who take a look. I saved $9.69 by using AMC A List for this film. That is nice. I say this not because I'm sponsored by AMC, but because I plan to tally my savings at the end of a single year to see if A List is actually worth it for someone like me, though I'm betting yes because I see so many movies. Anyways, did you see Looney Tunes? Oh, excuse me. The official title is Did You See The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie? I will give them that the title is a little verbose. But did you see the movie? If you did, what did you think of it? Are you as salty as I am about what Warner Brothers is doing to their creatives that they're in bed with? Do you yearn for more 2D animation? Do you think we should just let it all burn and accept our new yellow minion overlords with no other alternatives at the theater when it comes to that genre? Feel free to answer any and all of those questions in the comments of this video. I try to respond to as many comments as I can. Feel free also to like this video or to subscribe to the channel to keep up with my thoughts on more films as they hit theaters or get released onto streaming. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and don't pick up any strange chewing gum. Don't pick up any chewing gum for that matter. Even if it doesn't cause an alien invasion, it might give you TMJ if you chew too much gum. I speak from experience. Anyway, stay safe. Bye.